Okay, we are ready for math on Tuesday, April the 21st, and we are going to continue the math page that we started yesterday. So we did the front yesterday, and we're going to continue on to the back. We reviewed all of the multiplication, and now we're going to review the division. If you have already done that and you feel confident with that, wonderful. I do want you to go ahead and tear out page 287. This is the daily review page. And I want you to do two sections on this page for me. I want you to turn it over to the back. And I want you to do section C, which reviews multiplication. And it has 3 digits by 2 digits. And I want you to review your multiplication on section C. And then I want you to look at section E. And I want you to practice working through the graph, understanding the graph, and then answering the questions that come with it. So, your multiplication and your graph. And for your question, I want you to pick something that we could graph. So if you were going to come up with a problem, a graphing problem, what could you graph? So here this has bags of litter collected by an Adopt a Highway project. So think about things that would have amounts, that would have different amounts over different times. You could even make this applicable to our coronavirus time. What's something that we could graph? Either something that you're doing at home or something that's going on. You could say it has something to do with school. What would be something we could graph? How many pencils were used by the first grade? How many pencils were used by the second grade? By the third grade? By the fourth grade? Okay, so give me an idea in the comments of something that you could graph. Give me a good idea. And if you have already done this page and you are confident with your division and you have your assignment from these two sections and you know what to put as your comment, then you're okay with not watching the rest of the video today. Okay? So goodbye to those who have already done their math page. If you need a little extra help, I'm with you. Okay, so let's look at the page. So here it says, draw a picture to solve. We're not going to do the picture, we're just going to go ahead and work it out. And it says, write the answer in lowest terms. So all of this is division. If I have 4 divided by 2/3. So remember with division, I keep the left-hand number and the right number flips. Left-hand number stays the same, right flips, I multiply straight across. Okay, so I keep the 4. I change this division to a multiplication, and just for easiness, I'm going to put a dot there. And then I'm going to flip that fraction, which would become a 3/2. And then I'm going to multiply straight across. Remember, that whole number multiplies by the top number. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 then goes over 2. And then that is divided. So 12/2 becomes 6. Okay, so we're going to do this one exactly the same way. You're going to flip that 1/7, flip it. You're going to flip this side here. The 1/4 gets flipped. Okay, then if we look here, same thing happens here. This flips. Now this is a cool one because look at what's happened. If I keep 3, I change that to multiplication, and then I flip. Look at what I have now. I have, and remember I'm going to use my red, this is what we did yesterday. If I have a whole number and then I have a denominator that are the same, it means I'm multiplying and dividing by the same number, and in that case I can cancel it out. So then all I am left with here is the 5. So my answer is a whole number 5. Okay, so this is going to flip 6 times 4/3. This is going to flip 2 times 3/1. Wow, this is easier than a lot of the other stuff we did last week, huh? 4, this is going to flip to be 5/2. This one's going to flip, and this one's going to flip, and you're going to multiply. Wow, they didn't even give you, they left it with a whole number and a fraction. Okay, so you should have just flown by that. Now let's look at the 2 word problems that they give us at the bottom of the page. Mrs. Matthews is making cheese balls for a reception. It takes 3/4 pound of cheese to make 1 cheese ball. How much cheese does she need to purchase to make 6? So if she needs 3/4 for each one, and she wants to make 6, then I have to do 3/4 times 6. So that means the 6 and the 3 are going to multiply. 6 times 3 is 18/4, and then you're going to divide that. 4 goes into 18. How many times? 4 with a remainder of 2/4, which 2/4 is really what? 1/2. So you're going to change that to say 1/2. Okay, the next one says Mrs. Matthews will roll 2 cheese balls in pecans and 2 in walnuts. She will sprinkle spices on 2 cheese balls. Okay, so pecans, 2 walnuts, 2 spices. If she has 3/4 cups of pecans, what fraction of a cup can she use for each cheese ball? So we want to divide 3/4 divided by half, right? Because she only has 2 that she needs to use pecans for, right? Yeah. So 3/4 divided by 2. What does that mean? That means that I'm going to do 3/4. The half flips to be 2/1. Wait a minute, this is not going to turn off right. If I divide 6 divided by 4, no, that's not going to work out right. So I know what I need to do. Instead of division, this should say 1/2 of. Remember our of? This should say 1/2 of 3/4. Then, when I multiply that across, I get 3/8. Okay, now, how did I know my answer was wrong? I knew I was going the wrong way. Why? Because my answer was going to be over a whole. And if she only had 3/4 a cup and she was splitting it into 2, I knew 1/2 could not be right. So then I had to think about, even though it made sense what I was doing, because I was dividing that 3/4 in half, that wasn't the way it needed to be worked out. I was taking 1/2 of 3/4, which in fractions, I know it's confusing, but which in fractions means I need to multiply that. So I did 1/2 of 3/4. Now, does 3/8 make more sense? Yes, because if I do 3/8 plus 3/8, I would get 6/8, and 6/8 reduces to 3/4. So that would mean that 2 3/8 makes 3/4 of a cup. So that would mean that this is right now. Okay, so hopefully you're finished with that now. Go back and fill in the ones that you didn't get a chance to do, and then do these 2 sections on this daily review, C and E, and you will be finished. Don't forget your comment about what you could graph. Have a good day.